All right, everyone, this is Jeff Macon. We're letting people into our Zoom meeting. We have a number of people coming in today, so just give us a few moments while we let people in. I'm going to let Luke in. So let me go around and start just doing quick introductions, folks. And this is just totally informal, casual. We hope that over the next 6 weeks, we get to know each other a little bit and see if we can help you. This whole premise behind Valley Ventures is to help water, energy, and ag tech ventures thrive in California. Hard tech is not easy. It's usually a 7-year, cycle to try to become a successful business. And there are lots of hurdles to get through, with the Valley of Death. There are funding opportunities through grants and investors and other things, but business development is very important. And in particular, product market fit. You guys all went through this fluency score, where they did a couple online sessions with you and asked some questions and plugged that into their algorithm to score each venture. And for all 7 ventures, there's an opportunity to improve on product market fit. And as we go through the 6 weeks, I'll be throwing out some things, and so will some of the guest speakers on product market fit, including like the NSF I-Core program, going out and interviewing 100 customers, seeing what their pulse is. Steve Blank out of Stanford and Eric Reese, a number of famous folks in the entrepreneurship space, focus on product market fit. And so I hope that we are able to improve in that area. Now, let me go around and do some introductions. And I'm going to start with the ventures. For each of these 35 webinars that we're having, I always want to start with the ventures and the 7 ventures and have you guys become good at quickly explaining who you are. Introductions. So for right now, let me just ask for one person from each of the 7 ventures to introduce yourself, your venture, and what other team members you expect to be part of these Valley Ventures webinars. So I will start with ventures, with primarily all ventures, and I'm going to go in alphabetical order, just as this page is showing here, All Power Labs. So Alejandro, could I start with you? Would you mind being the point person for All Power Labs, and just briefly in like 1 minute or so, just kind of introduce yourself and All Power Labs, and then
Okay.
I'll with some questions, and also other folks who are on the webinar here, you can pop in with questions, but I don't want to drag it out for too long. But Alejandro, let's proceed, and can you introduce yourself and your venture?
Okay, thank you, Jeff, and thank you for arranging this. So my name is Alejandro Ablas. I am the COO of All Power Labs. We're based out of Berkeley, California, and All Power Labs, we've been in business the last almost a decade now. And, a lot of detail on our website, but primarily we develop distributed scale biomass generation technologies. That's what we do. So basically these are generators. Think of them as diesel gensets, but the fuel we use are woody waste biomass. So that's what we do. We're a small company, about 25 or so people only. We've shipped a lot of product over the last decade to all over the world. The technology is still being kind of improved as we speak. And we're slowly now trying to kind of improve it or configure the technology in a way that can be used for microgrid systems. So, anyway, so that's what we do. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and Alejandro, Jim Mason is one of your 2 co-founders, is that correct?
That is correct. Jim Mason is CEO of the company. He will attend when he can in this meeting, but we're in fundraise mode right now, so we're kind of busy. I'll probably have also our grants person, Justin Knapp, attending in some of the meetings.
Yes, and Alejandro, All Power Labs, also known as APL, you guys would like to raise a Series A in the next 12 months, is that correct?
Yes, currently we are, I think it's the first time we're doing an external fundraise. So we're trying to raise a Series A up to $10 million, and that will fund development. Most of it will be development, and a portion of it will be working capital. And
okay. Excellent, thank you, Alejandro. And let me move next in alphabetical order here to Akayex. And Michael, I've asked you this before, do you go by Michael, Mike, or either?
Either, but most people call me Mike, which is totally fine.
Mike, would you mind introducing yourself and Akayex, please?
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Gardner. Akayex is a cloud software company. We are a fintech company, so we make financial services software, and we're focused on automating the processes around financing water infrastructure. We also, by the way, we have a number of startups that have listed with us. So we not only finance infrastructure, but we're also trying to help bring funding to water startups as well, water tech startups, basically. At some point I can talk a lot more if people are interested about what water infrastructure funding is like and what fintech is like, but I'll just leave it at that. We're a pretty small company. We've been around 3 years. We're in Santa Cruz, California. We are working right now on our pre-seed raise, and we are one of my partners, our co-founder Randy Sultan, our chief technology officer, may be joining some of the sessions as well, but primarily it's going to be me as the plan. Randy's got a lot of other stuff to do.
Mike, with your pre-seed, what kind of amount range are you looking for pre-seed?
We're looking to raise about $1 million, and we're thinking, we're basically looking to try to do an angel round essentially, or super angel round. So we're, rather than, go for a VC or even an early stage VC, we're really focused more on trying the angel round basically.
Okay. All right. Appreciate the update there. Now let's move on to Capta Hydro. Let's see, for Capta Hydro, who would like to introduce yourself and your venture?
Hi, Jeff. I will. Thanks.
And please, what is your name?
So my name is Gaston Dusayant. I'm one of the co-founders and CCO and CFO of Capta Hydro. So
And
it's kind of
you're in Santiago, Chile, correct?
I'm in Santiago, Chile. Yes. So it's 2 p.m. now here, but it's a good time for us. So very happy to be here, and thanks, Jeff, for organizing this. To talk a bit about Capta Hydro, we are basically a water management technology company. We have developed innovative canal telemetry and canal gate automation devices. We are applying for PCT patents for both. Well, their main characteristics are that they are really adaptable to existing infrastructure, thus lowering implementation times and costs. And also they also have very anti-vandalism designs. That was one of the biggest issues in order to implement these systems at scale. Well, all this connects to a water management software that's really flexible in a sense that we can integrate different kinds of data sources from rivers, snow meters, or even like smart water devices for focus on agriculture, on irrigation mainly, and currently we have systems installed mainly in Chile, obviously, and also one in Mexico, in Baja California. We have a project now to expand our pilots in Baja California, Mexico, and also in Costa Rica, and also are currently closing our, let's say it's a pre-series A round for around $700,000 that will allow us to expand much more aggressively, mainly by putting pilots on key water distribution customers, as irrigation districts, for example, in the United States.
Okay, Gaston, can I interrupt? Sorry, I think it was about 2 Fridays ago, you sent me an email saying you had secured your lead investor for this, you call it pre-series A, 700,000.
Yeah.
So you got your lead investor and you need to top off your 700,000 round, is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So the lead investor was pretty important just to put the price, right? And unfortunately we priced well, and we're about 80% finished of closing the round. And the idea with this round is to validate that we can really scale internationally, because as you can imagine, Chile is a small country in a sense. It's only 1 million hectares of irrigation water, as an irrigation surface by superficial water, and and our goal is to be a global company. We be present in 15 countries by 2023, and so that we have a goal of closing a Series A by the end of first semester next year.
Okay,
And with
the first half of 2021 after your
Yeah.
Series A?
yeah.
Okay, great. Well, Gaston, thank you very much for that introduction. And let me move on to the next, and that would be...
So last thing, Benjamin Lassen, like he's my international business development person. He's gonna be also participating, and
Yes.
sometimes the CEO and CTO if he has time.
Okay, yeah, Benjamin is also on, correct? Yeah. So, okay, great. Let me move on to Infinite Pipe, and Dr. Moasani, would you please introduce yourself and your company? Hold on, let's see. Mo, are you on?
I'm muting myself. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can
Yes.
hear you.
Yeah. So good morning, everyone. My name is Mo Sani. I'm the president and CEO of Cohort, which is a company I formed about 26 years ago. We specialize in fixing the infrastructure with fiber composite materials. And Infinite Pipe is one of the technologies that we have developed in the last few years. We are right now in the middle of a phase 2 funding from the US Department of Agriculture, which is a 2-year funding. And with this technology, what it does, it allows us to build a continuous pipe on site, which can be used for all kinds of energy and water transmission projects. We have 3 different patents on various aspects of this already, and a couple of grants. Happy to be participating in this thing, and I'll have a couple of my colleagues that I would like to introduce. I've asked them to join some of our meetings. I don't know if we'll be able to do all of them, but we have Carol Cardenas, who is our COO, and I know she's online today. On our pipeline group, we have Farad Sever and Owen Yan. These are our pipeline division manager and engineer. We may have in the future in one of the meetings, Steve Delgado, who does our marketing. I've asked him to join too. So we are all excited to be a part of this program.
Great. Thank you, Mo. Appreciate that introduction for Infinite Pipe. Moving on to Intitech. Would somebody please introduce Intitech?
Yes. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Felipe.
Thanks for everything. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I guess I'm the only one from Intitech connected right now, right? Yeah, since we're working from home, I have not news from Mauricio or Camilo. Well, just to let you know, Mauricio and Camilo will be joining us when they can. I will be participating in every meeting from Intitech side. Well, Intitech is a startup we began 3 years ago in Chile. We are aiming to solve the soiling issue that solar plants of different sizes have all around the world. Currently, the soiling problem is being solved with manual cleaning methods using fossil fuel, using people wandering around solar plants, and of course, the use of water. So these manual cleaning methods need to be replaced soon in order for the energy transition to be more efficient. We improve the efficiency of solar plants by installing an automatic dry cleaning device in each continuous row of a solar plant. So the cleaning cycle is triggered whenever it's needed. So the efficiency of the solar modules does not decrease. It is permanently in a high yield. We are working in Chile with Engie. We are invested. We have raised around $2 million already, and we are currently carrying out our new investment round. Mauricio Chong is in charge of fundraising. He can, in further presentations, he can give more details about the fundraising. We have 22 plants in charge here in Chile. We are acquiring more and more clients every day. Our purpose in participating in this accelerating program is to know about the opportunities that we can address in the California market. Of course, we know that California, in general, the United States, is fostering a lot of renewable energies, and we want to expand first internationally to Mexico and the United States.
Okay, Felipe, thank you for that update. And Felipe, what is your role with Intitech? Do you do business development?
Yeah, I'm in charge of the commercial area, everything to do with sales. And Camilo is the CEO, and Mauricio is in charge of fundraising.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Felipe. And now let's go to Off-Grid Box, and I think I saw Troy in there. Troy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. This is awesome.
Hey, Troy, are you in Texas today?
Yeah, I'm actually in Austin right now.
All right, cool. Hopefully things in Austin are going well.
Yeah, it's not too bad, not too bad. So Off-Grid Box is doing some clean water and solar stuff. A lot of our projects have been in the developing world. So we have a small containerized solution in a 6-foot container, cubic container, and solar panels on the top, and then of course the water purification inside. So depending on where you deploy this, it could maybe, power and provide water for a house, in the suburbs of Texas, but in a developing country, it might provide for an entire village. In Rwanda, we have nearly 50 boxes, and each box provides for roughly 2,000 people with 10 liters of water and a small battery pack, which can charge a few lights and a few phones. So depending on the power needed, a lot of you guys are engineers, so you'll probably know it's basically 3 kilowatt is our base model, and then we go up to 8 kilowatts. So that's the size of the solar array, but it's a turnkey system. So it has all the components necessary to be up and running in only a few hours, just basically the time it takes to put up the panels. So it's super easy to transport. We've delivered it, Philippines, Puerto Rico, Madagascar, Virgin Islands. But the majority of our work has been in East Africa. So we'd like to bring this to the States. We've had a lot of demand and a lot of requests, but it's never been a market we've really studied. We did do some projects in Puerto Rico and Hawaii, but we'd like to bring it to the mainland if it makes sense.
Yeah, and Troy, don't you guys have a couple projects going, USAID and maybe Air Force, SBIR?
Yeah, so we just secured a grant from USAID for 6 rural clinics, which is a really good project for us, and that's following the United Nations contract we just did for 12 boxes. So we're really seeking out these longer, bigger projects. And the boot camp that we're participating in kind of simultaneously is for SBIR. So this is more research grant focused for us to develop a little bit smaller version of the box, because this box you see right here, it's about 25 grand for the cheapest model. So we're trying to build something quite smaller, handheld, a foot by a foot, and then the panels kind of are a big array on top of it. And then people could stack this, and it could be used in remote camps or search and rescue. But the same idea, water and power, super compact, and of course connectivity, if we have space for extra modules like that.
And Troy, did I hear your CEO Emiliano mention before you guys worked with Google?
Yeah, so in the DRC, we got sponsored by Google's Responsible Supply Chain. So they funded a box and committed to an MOU to help secure funding for tons of boxes once we showed that this pilot was successful, which we just completed. So we're really excited to grow this partnership with Google. Also, the Ministry of Mines in DRC also signed that MOU. So we've got a lot of the players involved, but these things, they take time to build up and grow. But that's how most of our projects are. They're all early pilots, and now they're all finally coming to fruition. So we're ready to see how this grows. And that's why I think, East Africa is kind of taking off on its own. So it's time for us to explore the next market, which we think the US has the most potential.
Yeah, and could you comment on your CEO? Is it Dr. Emiliano Cecchini? Am I pronouncing that at all correct? And I just learned he has a PhD in physics.
Emiliano Cecchini. So him and his co-founder, Davide, they're these two wild but lovely Italian guys, and they actually came up with this idea about 5-6 years ago when they were in South Africa. because they were trying to do custom water and solar installations for these primary schools in the middle of nowhere, South Africa. And they kept getting there and they would be missing a screw or something. So they'd have to talk to the brothers, aunts, uncles, cousins, sister, and then negotiate. And so it lasted 3 weeks to a couple months. And so that's why they kept refining it and packaging it until it took just 3 hours. So we really cut down the time severely for these off-grid projects.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Troy. Appreciate that. And now let me move on to the 7th venture, going in alphabetical order. It's last, but P4P Energy. Stephen, would you introduce yourself and your venture, please?
Yes. Hello. My name is Stephen Conger. I'm the chairman and chief technical officer of P4P. We have been working mostly on pilot projects as well. We've done 8 pilot projects so far, including over parking. And we did 2.5 megawatt projects over canals in India. And we built 1.6 miles over canals in 10 weeks. So what we have is over 50 patents on solar supported by cable tension structures. Typically, our cable tension structures use about 40 to 60% of the steel of the same system, of a conventional system. Also, we have our projects go up really quickly. You can see that one. This is when just the foundations were up. You see that canal right there. That was 1.1 miles in 10 weeks. And so our systems are very easy to put up. They go up more like tents than they do like buildings. And right now we have a Sunshine grant. We got a $1 million Sunshine grant. We're doing a proof of concept in Germany of an over agricultural project we're doing. And we're doing several ground mount projects as well. So we have received $3.5 million so far in angel funding. We're going for another 500,000 right now and 5 million sometime in around 6 months. So
Stephen, what was that again? Can you say that again, please?
Yeah, sorry. We have raised $3.5 million so far in angel funding.
Got it.
We're going for another 500,000 and preparation for doing a $5 million raise in about 6 months.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Appreciate that. And you have a team working with you at P4P Energy, correct? Including
yes. We have people in England, in India, and in the U.S. And we have really great engineers, and we have engineers in India that we work with, and our lead engineer is in Carbondale, Colorado, which is where I am at.
Okay, well,
and we feel like we have our proof of concepts enough so that the market is really opening up for us. We have a partner in Ganges International, which is one of the largest steel fabricators in the world. They do most of the utility power poles, and they're our exclusive partner in India, and we're on track to do hundreds of megawatts a year with them in the next couple of years.
Okay, appreciate that update on P4P Energy. Now let me move to the Wet Center team here. Go to the wetcenter.org webpage. And Hella, could I start with you for a quick introduction on who you are and what you do here at Fresno State, and your interest in these ventures?
Of course. Well, welcome everybody. We are excited to have you in our 5th cohort. And I know Jeff and his team has put a lot of energy and thought into making a really good program for you again this year. It's the first time we're doing it virtually, obviously. But I think it's gonna be great as it has been the last 4 cohorts. So welcome everybody. As Jeff said, my name is Helle Petersen. My official title is Assistant Director of the Center for Irrigation Technology, which is the center that the Wet Center is housed under. And also I manage the Wet Center as well, and have a great team that helps me do that. So my daily work is mostly working on getting funding, grants, making sure we can offer the best programs for our entrepreneurs and the ventures we work with, and making sure we get some really solid water, energy, ag technologies commercialized and out in the marketplace.
Yeah, well, thank you, Hella. I appreciate that. And now, Dr. Charles Hillier, could I go to you and could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. So I'm Charles Hillier. I'm the director of the Center for Irrigation Technology. I've been here for almost exactly 1 year. CIT is a part of the Jordan College of Agriculture and Technology. And we, in addition to the WET Center, CIT also has a testing laboratory, which is focused on irrigation technology. So we test all sorts of things from valves to sprinklers to pumps to pretty much anything that goes into an irrigation system. We also have a very robust research program. This involves field research both at the Fresno State Farm, which is a 900+ acre farm. It's fully diverse, so there's all the California crops that you could possibly imagine, or almost all of them are here. In addition to that, there's 6 acres which are specifically dedicated to research, and we have several active research programs that are doing field trials out there. So we'll be doing mostly applied research, but we also do product development. We'll have partnerships with companies who test and validate their things out on the plots here.
Great. Thank you, Charles. I appreciate that. And now let me move on. Ben, are you on?
Yes, I'm here, Jeff.
Hey, Ben, would you mind introducing yourselves?
Yeah, good to meet everyone and great to hear about all the technologies. It looks like a great cohort. I run the Wet Force program. I've been with the Wet Center for a few years, and at the Wet Force program, we help companies with their fundraising efforts. So that may be in the form of bringing in consultants or other groundwork resources that could help with creating investment materials, developing fundraising strategy, and ultimately just helping coach through the process for whatever your fundraising milestone may be. So hopefully as time goes on and we get a feel for the venture, maybe there'll be a time and place where we could work with a few of the companies here and help you guys accomplish some of your fundraising goals. So if there's any questions about that program, I'd be happy to discuss in the future. And I'll be showing up to the sessions, as many as I can. So I'll be listening in and seeing what you guys are working on. And if I see a fit, I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And Ventures, I definitely hope you take up Ben's offer to help. And Ben, you helped launch Valley Ventures. You've been part of, this is our 5th cohort there at the beginning with Paul Singh, the initial investor who will be speaking later. But yeah, you've been a part of this ride since the beginning, huh?
Oh yeah, no, it's been great and excited to see what this year brings too. It's going to be good stuff.
Yep, hopefully, yes. Let me move on to Grace. Would you please introduce yourself as the Zoom manager for our VV5 sessions, right?
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you all. I was liked hearing all of the introductions and get a little bit more background. So as I said, my name is Grace Manley. I work with our TIE program, which is our Technology Innovation Evaluation. So we have meetings with ventures, kind of go over their technology a little more and dive in a little bit more to that with a committee of experts, let them ask some questions, offer some feedback, and kind of just dive in a little bit more on the technology side. And then I also work with our CMTC program. We recently partnered with the CMTC, the California Manufacturing Network. So if any of you guys, which I know a few are manufacturers and would like to talk more, I'd love to have another conversation to see what resources we could provide to you.
Thank you very much, Grace. And I hope that you, just like Ben, that you ventures connect with Grace. She can help with a few things through the WET Center, including our Technology Innovation Evaluation meetings. Okay, let me move on to another WET Center team member, and that would be Alexis. Alexis, would you please introduce yourself?
Sure thing. Hi, everyone. It's been wonderful listening in on your technologies. I'm particularly excited about this cohort, not only because it's virtual and brand new, I feel like to many, but also because we've got a great group of companies, at least in my opinion. So very excited. Jeff mentioned, my name is Alexis Ford. My official title is Public Relations and Communications Assistant here at the Water, Energy, and Technology Center. So I primarily work with things along the lines of public relations and social media strategy. I also work a lot on website development, really anything along the lines of branding. So from social media to websites, graphic design, I'm kind of the go-to gal in that sense. So if you guys need help or have any questions regarding marketing, public relations, I'm here as a resource to you throughout this program. So feel free to send me an email. I know that I've reached out to at least one of each of you from each of the companies. So you guys have access to my email and I'd be more than happy to help.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Alexis. And let me move on to Max. Max, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Hello, everyone. My name is Max Nikashin. It's great to meet everybody and learn a little bit about what you're working with. I am currently a student at Fresno State, majoring in ag business, and I'm also a student intern with the Wet Center. I do some client coordination with Grace. I reach out to ventures to get them in for some of our TIE meetings, and I also assist with some of the other projects that we're working on at the Wet Center.
Yeah, thank you very much, Max. And Max, when do you said you have about 3 more semesters until you graduate?
Yep, that's the plan. 3 more semesters.
All right, and looking for a job, prospects are kind of interesting in this 2020. And
right.
Look, are you hustling, trying to find a job?
You know, I'm doing this. I also work at Whole Foods too, part-time. So just right now the plan is to finish with school and go from there.
Got it. Well, good luck with that. Thank you for joining. And you're going to help me take notes. And Grace and I will also be taking notes. And also to let everyone know, we are recording this first webinar. We won't be recording subsequent Valley Ventures webinars so that we can have open discussions and not, worry about things being recorded. The last session, the 35th, which will be on Thursday, November 12th, where I'm going to have you ventures give a pitch, give a presentation, we'll record that as well. And I'm showing you the Excel spreadsheet of the overall schedule of Valley Ventures 5. It's 35 webinars starting with today, this morning, and then we'll meet again this afternoon, every Monday afternoon at 1:30 p.m. And I do hope that you can join us there because we'll have Mike Jackson, who's a clean tech investor, and he's doing some good projects. He'll be talking with you this afternoon, and we'll be looking at funding, pilots, and product market fit. And just a quick overview of the 35 webinars. Tomorrow will be a 2-hour session. We only have two 2-hour sessions. This one tomorrow is important in my view because it's on sales. And this we have Dale Bierce. He's with Sandler Sales. It's a national program in sales, highly regarded. It's been around for a while, but we found Dale to be particularly excellent at helping ventures. He gets right in, he takes over, he talks with you ventures and focuses on how will you sell. And this ties into the product market fit that we think there's an opportunity for each of you ventures to improve upon. And cash flow is king. Want to have positive cash flow for your ventures so you can invest internal funds, and that'll give you a lot more traction and looking for grants and looking for investors. So sales tomorrow with a 2-hour session from 10 a.m. Pacific to 12 p.m. Pacific. Then we go to our 1-hour sessions, and I'm just going to look at this week. Wednesday, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. Well, John Bonanno, he's been the CXO of New Energy Nexus, one of our partners in the CEC's innovation cluster, and he's really good with clean tech, finance, and he's going to look at CEOs capitalizing balance sheets. And then Thursday morning at 10 a.m., we're going to have Sarge Green talk to you guys, and I'm really thrilled to have Sarge Green. He's an expert in water and energy and ag in California and other parts, but in California, where he's lived and worked, and with Fresno State for some years. He's going to try to work with each of you 7 ventures and give you some suggestions on organizations, public and private, that you should consider in trying to develop your technologies. Sarge Green will be Thursday. And then Friday, the last session for this week, will be Hustling in the Central Valley, California. And this will be on a founder, Waldo Moraga, for Eco2Mix. He went through our Valley Ventures Accelerator in a previous cohort. And he came up from Chile. We seem to have a connection with Chilean companies here at the Fresno State Wet Center. Wisecom, Bob Control, Eco2Mix. We have Capta Hydro and VV5 and Intotech today here, also from Chile. But Waldo, he just came over by himself. and he works on balancing pH for water and irrigation water. Uses a carbonic acid instead of sulfuric acid. He's hustling up and down the Central Valley, installing his units and servicing them, and then trying to hit the office at the end of the day to do sales and raise funds, and working with Ben on that. So that's the first week, and we have a total of 6 weeks, same schedule each week. Have calendar events for each one, with online meeting information, and also the names and contact information, the emails for everybody who's in each of these sessions, whether it's Wet Center team members, Ventures and their team members, or guest speakers. And so I encourage you to use those contacts, reach out to them if you think they can help. And if you need help getting any contact information, let me know. Be happy to facilitate that. And what we want to do in the last session on Thursday, November 12th at 10 a.m. is get ready to hear you 7 Ventures pitch. I want to, you guys, many of you know that you're trying to raise funds, so an investor pitch could be helpful, but also perhaps a pitch of where you want to go with your venture for the next 12 months. And anything that Valley Ventures did to help you would be great for us to know. But that'll be our last session. And so let me get with the last 17 minutes to kind of wrap this up here. We have these 7 ventures that I highlighted. And let me go here. There we go. The 7 ventures. Now, Alejandro, let me go back to you in All Power Labs, and I'm going to go through each of the 7 ventures, and this will be open discussion for anybody to chime in. So everybody, we've heard the 7 ventures introduce themselves briefly. I want to circle back to these ventures and have it be more of crosstalk. And we only have 17 minutes, 16 minutes. It's going to go fast, but if any of you ventures have any thoughts, have any questions, or Wet Center team members, please bring them up. But All Power Labs and Alejandro, where are you guys? You mentioned you're trying to raise a seed round, and I think that's multiple millions of dollars, right? But what do you see as your top priorities for All Power Labs looking forward?
Right now, it's getting our, so we have 2 platforms. We have the smaller unit platform. It's like a 25 kilowatt capacity unit. So our initiative over the next 12 months is to get that to a deployed in our pilot sites in California.
Okay.
That's the first kind of like milestone for us. We would like these installations to be both off-grid and grid tie. And they would like them to intersect with high hazard fuel sources in California, which is another driver, like a forestry residue is a kind of a feedstock that our unit works on. So being able to demonstrate that in that use setting is our kind of a primary, I guess, milestone right now. So we have projects in Mendocino County. We have a few projects closer to the Bay Area also. And like I said earlier, we're also configuring that unit to become more integrated in a microgrid, like a distributed energy resource. So we're integrating that unit with inverter and battery technology. So you have something that could easily be like a plug and play to microgrid systems.
So Alejandro, APL trying to do projects in California. When I heard Jim Mason, your co-founder, talk at the CEC's Epic Forum in Long Beach in February before COVID hit, and CECs are real interested in you guys helping with the forestry biomass, as you mentioned. Jim explained that it's real difficult doing projects in the United States because it's like 6 months of red tape and $150,000 in soft costs. And that was an issue that came up during that Epic Forum, and something that seemed to be an issue specific to the US as compared to Asia, Africa, Europe. Am I off on that, or is that about right? And how are you working through that if you're looking?
I think that is accurate. We believe that the best use case for our units are in grid tie settings. The problem with involves interconnection with the utility companies.
That's a bear, right? That's just a bear.
Yeah, grid tie is very difficult, and currently a lot of grid tie projects are large projects. They're multi-100 kilowatts, multi-megawatt systems, so they're more biased towards that type of business. So interconnecting a 50 kilowatt, 100 kilowatt system, it's fixed cost to interconnect. So you could actually have, interconnection costs that are it's more costly than the equipment itself.
Seems
So so right now we're kind of trying to figure out a way to, outside the regulatory environment. We're trying to come up with off-grid solutions where we integrate our biomass technology with, for example, desalination systems, storage systems, thermal storage systems, absorption chillers, meaning trying to create value, without having to grid tie.
Okay, and only 13 minutes left, so I need to move quick, being 7 ventures, you're one of them. Anybody else, Wet Center team members, any of the other ventures, anybody on this webinar, do you have any thoughts or questions for Alejandro and APL? This is gonna go quick, so if not, that's fine, but anybody, any thoughts, questions? Please jump in. All right, no, okay, so I'll take this. Justin, you're on, can you hear me, Justin? And could you quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. So yeah, I work with Alejandro. I work in grants and projects, and so that's why, I was in contact with Jeff. Alejandro's in management, and I'm taking notes. I have background with helping to manage some of our projects, and if anyone wants to reach out to me, I'd be a good person who can like introduce you to someone else in our company, or kind of pass you along, or answer questions. So you should be able to find my contact info, and if anyone has any questions about APL or what I do, then feel free to hit me up. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Justin. Appreciate it. And Justin, you're in Southern California, is that right?
Yeah, at the moment I'm in Pasadena. Yeah, I've kind of bounced back and forth a little bit, but I haven't been traveling a lot for the past several months. So, yep, Pasadena right now.
Cool, thank you. Kayaks, Mike, you mentioned that do you have a project in Texas going on?
Yeah, one of the problems in water finance is something called transboundary, where you have a need to finance things, but there's a lot of different parties involved that have to be involved in helping decide which things are we going to finance and how are we going to finance it. So in Houston, they're basically working on rebuilding the entire city because of hurricane vulnerability. They get massive flooding events and things like that. They've estimated the price of that at about $60 billion, believe it or not. And they're working right now to allocate about $14 billion in federal funding that they've received as part of that $60 billion. And they're beginning a pilot of using our software to do that. There's about 300 different entities involved, including state agencies, federal agencies, local and regional departments, and nonprofits and commercial companies, basically. And so our software gives them a single platform to be able to work together. One of the things that we do in our software is we have a very powerful data integration architecture, and we can use multi-benefit models that quantify a project in terms of its social benefit, the economic benefits, and the environmental benefits. And that allows kind of a normalization across hundreds of different projects to be able to say, out of all of those, this is number one, this is number two, and all the different parties can kind of agree. So we're just starting that. Pilot now. We're actually doing some national webinars this week for the next 5 weeks. We're doing a series on P3 finance. So if any of you are interested in all the ins and outs of finance mechanisms for government finance and public-private partnerships, let me know, and I can send you a link to those webinars.
So, okay, that's really cool. With P3, you said public-private
partnership,
financing. And the project in Houston, $60 billion, perhaps big project. Are you guys going to be working on that this year, next year?
We're working on it now. I mean, the software is running now, but the stage that we're at right now is recruiting in the agencies, and we're running basically a 3-month pilot. And so we're recruiting them in to basically start using the software and then also bring projects on board. We have some demo projects that we created, but they're just hypothetical kinds of things. And so what we're also working on is actually getting some real projects in so they can begin evaluating it. Using our software to evaluate the projects, basically. So it's going now, but the big money, the big opportunity for us is revenue that would be next year, because the 3-month pilot is not going to be revenue. So our opportunity is to convert them into actual using, real users that are actually paying to use it and so forth.
Yep, yep. Therein lies the struggle, right?
Oh yeah, always.
So Gaston, for Capta Hydro, any additional thoughts on where your venture's going?
Yeah, so right now we are basically we are with a pretty ambitious like piloting plan in the whole of Chile. We plan to place around 80 free pilots of our telemetry technology. That's the system that you see behind me in the video. So each one of these systems, it's not such a big purchase for customers. It's around $10,000, but it's still, sometimes these are like water user organizations. They're pretty like conservative in a sense, and also even though they can amass big budgets and subsidies and sometimes they can do like big projects, especially like in civil works, they know that how to concrete line canals, and they know that works, but sometimes they don't realize the benefits of having like real-time information underwater and canal automation and all that. So that's, we have seen that the pilots have really good conversion rates, and we will push that. And the second reason is that this is like a market that we believe is growing very fast, like in the next 5 to 10 years, like the technologization of superficial water infrastructure. And actually there's only one major competitor we have right now in the world. It's an Australian company. Well, California is one of their main markets, Rubicon Water, and really we're kind of we want to accelerate to try to put the foot in the door in as much markets as possible as soon as possible. So that's our main challenge.
Okay, good. I'm going to power on since we just have 6 minutes and I want to finish on time. And Dr. Asani, any additional thoughts with Infinite Pipe?
We are actually right now in the middle of making a new mobile manufacturing unit that we have contracted to a company. It should be available or become ready in another 5 to 6 weeks. And at that point, we'll be really looking for some potential applications of this, maybe whether it is on a, whether it's on a pilot project or if anybody, even I was listening to some of the speakers before that, maybe in some applied field research on some of these places where we can demonstrate the effectiveness of this new pipeline technology and its cost effectiveness, and hopefully then go for bigger projects after that.
So pilots in about 6 weeks. Are you going to go for free pilots or paid pilots?
Well, we can discuss that. Yes.
All right, thank you, Mo. Thank you, Mo. Moving on to Intitech. Felipe, do you have anything additional you want to say about Intitech?
Yes, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, very important of our service that we don't charge per cleaning round. We charge an annual fee. The idea of the service is to keep the plant clean always. We install the robots. We charge a fixed rate for 100 cleaning cycles per year around, but we prevent all cleaning or all efficiency loss caused by soiling. So the power plant not only replaces the traditional cleaning methods that use water, that use fossil fuels for robots, but they also get the benefit of extra revenues because of having the plant always clean. So it's a double value that we deliver to our clients. That basically, and of course we are very interested in making pilots paid or free pilots in California. And basically what we need to understand is which is the market, what kind of power plants are located in California and elsewhere in the United States. We are sure that the solution, in fact, the robots are the current trend in photovoltaic plant cleaning methods. There are a lot of companies doing the same that we are doing, but the business model that we offer is very different. So we trust that we can manage to capture a lot of market because of the business model that has been already validated. we don't sell the robots, but we offer the cleaning service. So it's a lot of advantages that we see in accelerating in order to capture as much as we can of the Chilean and hopefully the California market.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Felipe. Off-grid box, Troy, anything you want to throw in here?
Yeah, I think that there's I mean, the main focus of our company is to help people be more independent and more resilient. So with that in mind, you know, there's a lot of disaster relief applications that could save a lot of lives. So if you guys know anything about this space, we would love to learn about it. Obviously, we did projects in Puerto Rico after the hurricanes hit there, making a bunch of schools more resilient. But even in Madagascar, like, it got hit with a cyclone while our box was there. And within 30 minutes after the storm, we were the only source of water and power on the island. So I know it's hard to think about, you know, the US and these problems that could happen.
Not so much now with the forest going on. I showed your box to the CEC guys. They're like,
exactly. So not nature reserves, but also saving lives, like all these things, they might need temporary solutions like us. So if you know people in that space, it would be really great to have a conversation with them and learn if this could be a widespread solution in the States.
Stephen, for you, last on P4P Energy, any last thoughts?
Yes. The main thing we're doing right now is bringing products to market. We have a ground mount, an over parking, which is our Sunshine grant, which you can see behind me. We're also doing over ag and over canals, and the over ag in Germany and the over canals in India mostly. We have a patent on putting a membrane on the bottom cable of our over canals, which turns the canals into a pipe. We reduce the evaporation 100% pretty much at that point. So I was particularly interested in Michael Gardner, your ability to analyze multiple benefits, because our systems are all about multiple benefits, like the over agriculture, over water. I have 34 multiple benefits for the over canal, so I'd love to be interested to talk to you about that. So I'd love to connect on that. Thank you.
Cool.
Very good. Okay, folks, we got 1 minute. I'm going to show this LinkedIn page with Mike Jackson. He's going to be our guest speaker today at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, and hopefully you guys can join us or other members of your team. But Mike Jackson, clean tech investor, 3 degrees from Stanford. I've mentioned him to most of you, if not all, but in Wesley VC, in 5 years, he went from intern to partner, and they helped ventures raise 1.1 billion from lots of the big Silicon Valley VCs. And again, this is for clean tech. He's doing some cool things now, including with Elemental Accelerator. He's been their investor in residence for 3 years, and now they're starting a big project. So I look forward to Mike Jackson helping you guys with funding, product market fit, and just being a successful clean tech venture, which is not easy, and he understands that. So that's today at 1:30. And with that, we'd like to sign off. We'll let everyone go. I'll kind of hang on for a little bit with Grace and let everybody kind of chime out, but look forward to seeing you at 1:30 p.m. this afternoon. By all means, if you have any questions or issues or updates, feel free to email me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Excellent.
Jeff.
Thanks, everybody. Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
And this is our last Valley Ventures 5th Cohort Accelerator session. It's been a pleasure working with you guys and getting to know all the 7 ventures and connect you with all the guest speakers we've had over the 6 weeks. And so today it's kind of coming back full circle to our very first webinar where we had the Wet Center and folks here to hear what you guys have done and hear where you guys are going. So these presentations, 5 minutes each, will go in alphabetical order. Look forward to hearing where all you ventures are at, where you plan to go.
Okay.
See if Wet Center and our various programs that I'm scrolling through here on my shared screen can do to help you. So let's kind of get going. And for me, I'm going to turn over to you, Grace, to lead on the Wet Center introductions. But real fast, I see we have Catherine on. Catherine, hello and good morning. How are you today?
Hello. Good morning.
Hey, and you're new to us, and we've had some other folks pop into these webinars, but please tell me your URL. It's 1903.
1903pr.com, yeah.
All right, and so folks, Catherine is from 1903pr.com. I'm navigating to their website here, and it's a picture of Fresno downtown, so she's a neighbor to us. And Catherine, we'll get to introductions from the Wet Center team and also from these ventures, but I kind of did a prep session with you, and you were gracious enough to reach out to us and say with your PR firm that you're interested in seeing what these ventures are about, and this Valley Ventures Accelerator, and perhaps connecting with one of them after their presentations. And would you like to speak on what you do with 1903 PR and maybe what you're thinking of for today? And if you're still mulling that over and want to wait till after, that's fine. But would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. My name is Catherine Verducci. I'm one of the co-founders of 1903 Public Relations. We are based out of the Central Valley. I grew up here, but did about 15 years in Silicon Valley doing the whole tech thing. But you can't beat the Central Valley in terms of cost of living, and so came back and was telecommuting for an agency based out of Seattle, but really got to a place where I thought, there's no reason to hide that I'm based out of the Central Valley. The work is just as good. And I know that not all of you are necessarily based in the Central Valley, but what the Wet Center is doing and what you all are doing is very heavily tied to what key industries for our beloved valley here. And so that's really why we got involved, because we see a huge opportunity to promote some of the innovation that's coming, being kind of centralized here in Central Valley, and dealing with really important industries of agriculture and water conservation, renewable resources and things. So that is kind of the area of public relations that we specialize in as well. We're more of an enterprise technology firm, not like consumer PR, which a lot of people might have more kind of comfort with, but that's what we do. We love technology, and so we reached out, and our goal is to kind of help promote whatever is coming out of the Wet Center. And so we hope that we can partner with one of the programs here to kind of give some PR boost and get some good coverage. And PR is really good for attracting investors and talent and customers and all that kind of good stuff. So that's really where I think we can provide some benefit.
Yes, and then Catherine, did you have any thoughts with did you have a game plan for today or not exactly?
Well, I'm hoping to listen in really and just kind of hear the presentations. I've sat in throughout my career on a number of pitch sessions, and so if I have 2 cents on anything, I would definitely chime in. But I'm looking forward to learning more about all the companies that are kind of doing the pitching.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that, Catherine. Now, Grace, can you go through the introductions for all the folks on the Wet Center side of things, please?
Yes, hi everyone, good morning. My name is Grace Manley, and thank you to all the ventures for being here for these last 35 webinars. I know I'm gonna miss this in my everyday routine going forward. It's gonna feel a little bit different, but I've enjoyed getting to know all of you a little bit more, so I hope to stay in touch and keep connecting in the future. But Charles, if I can please have you introduce yourself first.
Sure. I'm Charles Hillier. I'm the director of the Center for Irrigation Technology here in Fresno State. The Wet Center is a very big and very important part of CIT. CIT also does, I think all the ventures know this, other research and testing services.
Perfect, thank you. And then Hele.
Morning, everybody. I'm Hele Petersen. I'm the Assistant Director at the Center for Irrigation Technology and also manager of the Wet Center. So I work very closely with Jeff and Grace, and I know from Jeff that he has put a tremendous amount of work into this, and so has Grace for that matter. And I am just very curious to hear everybody's pitches, and I hope that you learned some good things, got some good connections, really felt that your companies have moved forward and accelerated, which is the point of this program, and we look forward to put our resources behind your further development and see how we can help you in your journey moving forward.
Perfect, thank you. And Benjamin.
Yes, congratulations everyone, making it to the end here. I'm the program manager of the Wet Force program, which is basically the consulting component on a one-on-one basis, helping companies with their fundraising, finances, whatever needs to help them reach their next growth milestone. So proud to see everyone in today. Great group of companies, and looking forward to what the future holds for all of you.
Thank you, Ben. And then Alexis.
Hi, everyone. It's wonderful seeing your faces again. My name is Alexis, as Grace mentioned. I am the Public Relations and Communications Assistant here at the Wet Center. I am more than positive I've connected with each and every single one of you via email at some point for all things graphics, design, all of that good stuff. I wanted to also extend my congratulations to each of you. This has been an awesome experience, at least for me, going through a virtual accelerator program as pretty much for the first time ever, being full-time starting in February of this year. So I'm excited to see your guys' presentations, and we hope we can help you in the future, definitely.
Perfect, thank you. And then Maxwell.
Yeah, thank you, Grace. And it's great to see everybody again. And Catherine, it's nice to meet you. I am currently a ag business student at Fresno State and client coordinator with the Wet Center. And I do wish you all the best moving forward. And it was great to meet all of you and get to learn about your ventures. And I definitely learned a lot during these past webinars. So I just want to thank you all, and I'm excited for the pitches today.
Perfect, thank you. And then let's go to Jack.
Yeah, so hello to everyone again. I'm Jack Gazalian. I'm a computer science student here at Fresno State, and I'm also the VV5 coordinator. So I helped Jeff put this program together, and I'm excited. It's the end here. Kind of crazy how quick it all went by, but I wish you all the best for the future, and I've learned a lot, and I hope all of you have as well. And I'm excited to wrap it up on a good note.
And Jack, you're finishing Fresno State in just like 4 weeks, right? And the job search is now a paramount.
It is, yeah. Yep, last month, so pushing through to the end.
Perfect, and then Julio.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Julio Baca. I'm a Fresno State student. I've been listening to all you, and I want to say that I hate online classes, especially that this is my last semester. But anyways, I'm working a service learning project for my teacher, and today I will be taking notes. I also want to mention that I have my own landscaping business, which I work full-time while going to school full-time as well. So yeah.
Perfect, thank you, Julio, and thank you for participating and taking notes for these. And then
Yeah,
what about you?
today's my go ahead.
Oh yeah.
Hello guys, my name is Jesus, and just like Julio, I'm doing a service learning program for one of my classes, and I'm participating just like Julio. I really enjoyed all of these sessions that I've been a part of, and I've learned a lot, and I'm sure a lot of the ventures have learned a lot as well. There's a lot of interesting things that a lot of the guests have said. It's helped further my knowledge, and I hope the best for everyone and all your businesses, and I hope to see everyone at the top soon.
Thank you, Jesus. And then
sorry, real quick, Jesus, you want to plug your business? Did you say what your business is?
So I do mobile detailing, and I'm actually just finishing right now in the morning, and I'm about to park right here in this parking lot. So that's what I do, and yeah, it's my full-time job. Been doing it for 2 years, and proud of it.
perfect, thank you, Jesus. And then I cannot forget Tom Burns.
Hello, Tom Burns. What I do is I am retired, but basically before that I ran the MBA programs at Fresno State and taught the strategy area most of the time, or sometimes in the global business. Been working quite a few years at the university and doing some consulting work from the standpoint that we did a lot of projects through the MBA program as part of their final assignment. Also worked with different entrepreneur organizations that the universities had. So had a lot of background in working with startups and companies trying to grow. Really enjoyed the sessions from all of you. I thought you have some very interesting business concepts, and kind of glad to get kind of back into that kind of rhythm again, because I enjoyed seeing businesses blossom. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you, Tom, and then thank you to the whole Wet Center team for being here today. Jeff, I will let you kick this thing off.
All right, everyone, it's 10:14 on the clock, and so 7 ventures, and we seem to have all 7 here. So if you each do a 5-minute presentation, I'll do my stopwatch, and I'll pop in probably around 4 minutes and, you know, verbally let you know a minute left. And then at 5 minutes, I'll kind of ask you to wrap things up, hopefully with a soft touch, but we'll transition to just quick Q&A, because if we do 7 ventures at 5 minutes each, that's 35 minutes. And that takes us up to, you know, 10:50 a.m. Pacific, leaving us just 10 minutes. And to finish this off in the last 10 minutes, I want to see, one, if anybody in the Wet Center team has any questions, or, you know, Catherine from 1903 PR has any questions for the ventures that we can dive into a little bit. 10 minutes isn't going to be a lot of time, but we can probably have some top level discussions on some things. But then I'll wrap things up by letting you know I'm going to ask you to complete a survey to get your feedback on Valley Ventures 5th cohort as a whole, and for each of the guest speakers, for you to just give a simple 1 to 5 score and some comments if you want. And that should only take you 10 minutes to complete. I'll send that out later today. And then, of course, we can follow up and help you. As you know, I showed you with our websites, you know, we've been around for some years and we have plans to continue for some years, and we're about trying to help water, energy, and ag tech businesses succeed in California. We have a history of doing that. We look forward to doing that. We get paid for your success stories. And so we look forward to seeing how we might help you guys going forward. So, you know, there are plenty of opportunities we'll have for that, you know, in the future. So this isn't hopefully the end to things, but in any case, let's get on with our presentations. In about 5 minutes each, we go in alphabetical order. Justin was ready with All Power Labs until Alejandro popped in and elbowed him off the stage, I think. And Alejandro, are you gonna lead off with a presentation on All Power Labs? And these presentations I mentioned to you, they can be considered like pitches, and perhaps we can connect you down the road, but I wanna see where your venture is at, where you plan to go, if what you've seen through this Valley Ventures Accelerator leads you to any ideas of how we can help you. I'd love to hear that. But, you know, and that gives us, all of our team members here, an opportunity to know where you guys are at as a venture, what you're looking to do, so that we can each try to tie in our efforts to try to help you. And that's the point of these presentations. So Alejandro, Grace, you're gonna let him share his screen if he wants, and whether you have a slide deck or not, it's up to you. It's about 5 minutes. I'll chime in at 4 minutes and then at 5 minutes. Alejandro, would you like to kick us off, please?
Sure, go ahead. So I'm sharing my screen now, so I'm not sure if you're seeing it. Are you guys seeing it now? Okay, so so I won't go through much of the presentation because you know, we've been talking the last several weeks already. I had the pleasure of working with Mike Jackson and Jeff kind of at one cycle, probably a few months ago. So what you'll see here is a presentation of a slide deck I had given to them, but then updated with that first cycle, and now further updated based on all the learning that you know that we've gained over the last few weeks. Okay, so All Power Labs. Here's the pitch here. So the first slide. So we are All Power Labs, and up the right corner, this local carbon network. I'll talk about that a little bit as we go through the presentation. So what is our market? We're in the biomass business, pretty much. That's where it starts, which is the left-hand side there. We work in biomass waste streams, and also we are in the energy market, and primarily through energy access markets, and also, you know, generally speaking, the bioenergy market. So that's kind of like a big swath of what we're looking at. It all starts with biomass, okay? And so what's our proposition? Our proposition is converting all that biomass waste stream into energy in the form of electricity, heat, and this thing called biochar. So, so we develop technology. That's what we do. And the technology that you see here is this thing called a biomass generator. So through some type of innovation that we do, we're able to kind of pretty much extract the hydrocarbons of the biomass. Through some innovative technology, we can produce electricity, we produce heat, and the byproduct, this thing called biochar. Okay, so this graphic just shows kind of like the process. It talks about a little bit about the biochar, which is a form of sequestered carbon. So that's inherently what we do, what our team is based on. We build technology that does this. Okay, so an extension of that technology is into that you know, we have a robust technology roadmap. And that technology can be configured into other things, larger things, more complicated things like the lower right corner of the slide that you see here, we actually integrate the biomass generator to water generation technology. Okay, I think so. This one, particularly on the right, just 10 seconds on it. So we've actually coupled it with atmospheric water generators. We have some type of innovation in there to extract the moisture out of the biomass, and all the heat and power to operate the equipment is, guess what, is supplied by the system here, fully self-contained unit. A little bit of trivia here. If you guys Google water abundance X prize, you'll see there that a variant of this technology won that prize. Water abundance X prize, so that's a separate thing. So it just talks about the potential of the technology to be configured in other different kind of systems to provide other value. Beyond electricity, it could produce water, it could do other things. The upper right corner there, it's mostly designed to produce a lot of biochar. Okay. Our strategy is to, right now, we are mostly doing direct equipment sales as a business. In the future, we'd like, we want to partner. We're a small company. We will grow through partnership. And we want to get into the, this is an old slide. We call it waste to energy services. But now there's a lot of kind of, acronyms for it now, equipment as a service, project development, but essentially, we want to have a higher mix of self-operated systems versus equipment sales. Okay. And going down.
You got about a minute and a half left. You're going to be
okay. Fair enough. So let's talk about traction. This talks about traction, what we've done in the past, and some partners we're working with. This talks about, if you go to our website, go to the projects thing, you'll see the pilot deployments we've done in several countries here, and mostly through, energy generation, energy access markets. We are extending, again, building on the system sales. We are kind of, kicking around this local carbon network idea as a project that's enabled by the technology. So as opposed to an equipment sale, we kind of put it under the umbrella of this project called Local Carbon Network. Revenue streams for this thing, is I alluded to it over the last several weeks. We hope to kind of, the plan here is to extract value across these 6 different value streams: energy, carbon, water, biomass waste disposal, the carbon drawdown market, and essentially some way in the future where we can package it into a project, and we're thinking about franchises and all that stuff, LCN franchises particularly.
All right, hey, can you wrap this up in about 15 seconds by chance?
Yeah. So, and then this is the, the meeting with Janice was very useful. So we're now currently, our fundraising is based on just the first model she showed. Now I think the right way to think about it is the project financing model. And the last slide here talks about our fundraising strategy and some milestones. This was very helpful working with Mike Jackson to create this one slide that talks about, that's really simple to see. So getting his feedback from there, we developed this market, and the last few slides here are more like just about the team and the company and all that. So.
Alejandro, thank you so much. A little bit over 5 minutes, but real quick before we transition to a kayaks and Mike Gardner, does anybody have any burning questions or feedback for Alejandro? And anything's fair game, but they'll be quick. If anybody has anything burning from the Wet Center, from 1903 PR, from any of the other ventures, real quick for Alejandro, going once, going twice. No sale for now. We'll see if we come back to you, Alejandro, after we finish the presentations. Okay, thank you for that. Let's go ahead and switch over to Mike Gardner of a kayaks, please.
Hi, everybody. So I'm not really going to pitch a kayaks. What I am going to do is help you understand where we are at now, also how Valley Ventures has helped us, and then how Valley Ventures can help us in the future, basically. The first 4 or 5 slides are actually from our current pitch deck, our new and improved pitch deck. I'm just running through them quickly in terms of you helping. And so this is how we, want to help, how we want to pitch to investors to understand where you're at today. So this slide is that basically, and key things are we have some pretty powerful channel partner relationships basically, and operationally we're ready to scale. We just kind of need the money to, to go basically and so forth. I'm having trouble advancing. Sorry, what's going on here?
Mike, remember Paul Singh, the investor who spoke with us? He had a real good suggestion for pitches that I've taken to heart. He said, always lead with traction. At Kayaks, you've tripled your revenue each of the last 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, so you'll see that. We have a really great team. A lot of them are working for sweat equity, so we've still been able to keep our burn rate low. That presents certain kinds of challenges, but I'm not going to get into those details. To Jeff's point, we have tripled revenue. When you map it out over several years, it doesn't really, it's hard to tell because it's still kind of flat relative to what we think we can do, in the future, basically. But still, it is good. And we are, beginning this raise that we've been planning for quite a while. We've tuned up our plan based on, the things we've learned from Valley Ventures in a number of different ways, which I'll get to in a second, basically. But these are the things that we want to do with the use of proceeds. And this is the key part of the pitch too, I think, is to help the investors understand, look, what are you going to spend the money on and what will that get you to in terms of being able to go forward from there. A couple key things to hit on, and I tweaked this slide a little bit. This is not exactly the pitch slide, basically, but I think that Valley Ventures has helped a lot with us thinking through product market fit. For us, that was the most significant dimension of the initial startup score that we received was, lack of product market fit or issues in that. In particular, we're really interested in setting up project finance facilities. So Alejandro and the All Power Labs team and any of you, if you are interested in exploring this where we can set up the financing to provide, project finance for you and sales finance for your deals, let's talk, because that's exactly what we want to be able to do. We are also right now diversifying out of pure water, just water, into all climate related infrastructure or resilience infrastructure. It's a much bigger market. There's a lot of interest in it and so forth. And then finally, we are also, thinking through, and I have been thinking for a while about exits and M&A opportunities, but Jeff Dunn's presentation really helped crystallize a lot of ideas for that. In terms of value from VV5, getting the vectors into California Agriculture and Water, Sarge Green, Dr. Hillier, and many others, that's critical for us. We had already been, developing relationships in commercial and industrial and other sectors, but didn't really have enough happening in ag and have been trying to break into some of the things like what's happening with Sigma and the GSAs, but haven't really been effective at that, basically. So we're excited about the connections. The coaching from Mike Jackson and others on how to raise funds. We have, we've refined our pitch deck. We've also, based on his strategy, I've now secured 2 great research interns from UCSC to help research potential investors. We also found a fundraising operations manager who's going to work for us just for options and help kind of run the machine of that, which is really exciting because I'm too busy. The presentations on grant funding were really interesting. I've actually been kind of down on grant funding for us, but now I realize that's really a dumb attitude and there's actually a lot of opportunities. We've been in discussions with Dr. Hillier. Thank you very much, Dr. Hillier, too, for your time. Discussing a couple possibilities, but for us right now, I don't see any exact matches or slam dunks, but still something to work through. And then based on Jeff Dunn's presentation, I have a more refined strategy for a new technology that we've actually developed that I think is a major kind of an ace of spades kind of thing that we can put into our hand to play with a strategic investor over the next 6 to 12 months, basically. So that's been really useful.
Hey, can you wrap this up in 30 to 40 seconds, please?
Yeah, in terms of going forward, ongoing networking. So if the Valley Ventures and Wet Center team can keep a kayaks in mind, connecting us to finance these. I mean, in a way, what we have built is a candy store, and to us, deals, financing opportunities into water and other infrastructure, resilience infrastructure, that's the candy. So anything for deal flow. We do have a really powerful data management technology. So if you hear about the need for DMSs, we would definitely be interested in that. Intros to other cohort alumni, and then just ongoing vectoring to other services. Connecting to investors, would be useful both for us raising our money, but also we need investors to fund the deals. And then finally, nurturing the alumni community. I mean, I could imagine, for example, that you might have an alumni listserv. If you don't have already, I could imagine a monthly or quarterly alumni newsletter that would help us all keep posted on what's happening and, alert us to things we might then ask for. Because The problem is if we don't know you're doing it, we don't know to ask for it.
Yep.
And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mike. Anybody have anything for Mike from the Wet Center side, 1903 PR, or from the Ventures? Anybody for Mike and the kayaks?
This is Hilla. Hi, Mike. I just thought it was a very great presentation outlining what you learned from Valley Ventures. That's something that's interesting for us to hear, where, you know, what resonated with you, where do you think, what could you use? So I thought that was great. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hella. All right, anybody else?
Yeah, I have a question. So I work in grants at APL. This is Justin. I work in grants at All Power Labs, and I was wondering kind of what your thinking was and how it changed in terms of grants and grant funding. And for that matter, you know, if there's a place where the two of us can overlap, I think we'd be interested in overlapping, working together in grants. But yeah, kind of, can you explain how your mind was changed?
Yeah, I mean, I see now that we could take some of our new technology and find a grant that would fund a prototype of it. It can, you know, in theory, I mean, it just doesn't happen like that, you know, without effort, obviously, and stuff like that. But the theory is that the grant could essentially be project finance. I also hadn't focused on the fact that investors like the fact that somebody got a grant. I actually thought investors might frown on grants because they'd think it was distractive or something. But you know, now I see with the clarity of hindsight, well, duh, of course, you know, any funding that you get is vindication, and puts you in better, you know, puts your cash, your balance sheet in better position, basically. So, so yeah, those were things that were kind of realizations.
Yeah, grants have changed over the years, even in the last 5 years. And as Sadel Turbovsky of OpenGrants.io said, you know, scoring a grant is part of business development now for a lot of ventures.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on next to Capta Hydro. Who will present for Capta Hydro?
I will.
Hey, Gaston, please. By all means, I'll let you know when you're getting close to the end of your 5 minutes, okay?
Okay. Give me a sec.
Sure. And Mike, check out the chat directed at you when you get a chance.
Okay.
There. So first of all, thanks a lot to all the Valley Ventures and Wet Center team. It's been a very, very good experience. Lots of new things and learnings and also good connections to go forward. So I'll just do a brief introduction summary of Capta Hydro. Well, the macro problem that we're trying to solve is the big issues coming in the following years of less water supply and more water demand that necessarily will lead to a expected shortfall on fresh water, and we'll need a way to match that shortfall, right? So in agriculture, being one of the main water users, we generally have some traditional solutions, but they have challenges such as traditional infrastructure solutions such as dams, superficial water transfers, canal lining, but all are very expensive in CapEx and take a long time to develop, as Mike can probably agree. And also they're not, and they have more social resistance than ever. And finally, groundwater, and also a very current problem in California is basically like our savings account, and it's not really a sustainable way to grow crops or other uses. Yeah, the second problem that we saw is that there was a very low efficiency of superficial water distribution. This is 30 to 70% losses from water source, this river or dam, to the final water use. And this accounts, superficial water distribution for agriculture accounts for about 45% of total water use in worldwide. So it's a very, very big problem. And these are all some of the different reasons that we have water, but many are management related. And the final problem that really motivated us to fund Capta Hydro was a problem with current water management technologies have had really limited scaling because of vandalism, theft, risk, also low adaptability to infrastructure. You had to basically do new infrastructure that's costly and slow, very expensive current alternatives or technologies. So what we developed very briefly is a complete water distribution management IoT solution with proprietary hardware equipment, also proprietary software with a very important third-party data integration. And we work with water distribution organizations, also canal distribution, rivers, and also final water users, including irrigators and run-of-river hydropower, among others. And the main value drivers for this solutions is to improve water distribution, reduce losses, and facilitate demand-based distribution. So our current stage, we have this year, despite COVID, we're expecting to sell between $750 and $1 million with 20 plus customers, mainly in Chile. Internationally, we already had a sale in Mexico, and we are going to be invited, hopefully, to a very big RFP next year in Baja California, and also seeing, waiting for the confirmation of a $250,000 project in Costa Rica. Our technology are validated. We have over 70 equipments and automation in operation, and looking to double that in maybe in the next 6 months. And financially, we recently raised about $700,000 from private investors. So
And
what's our
about a minute
currently?
left. So.
A minute. Okay, so very fast. We're gonna expand to further industries this semester. Also, a bunch of international and Chilean pilots with our telemetry device, including two in California, hopefully one in Fresno, and one in the Imperial District down south. And in the future, well, we expect to continue our hardware development and also raise our Series A mid next year. What we learned about very good fundraising know-how, negotiation and sales skills, project finance, also very important for our hardware as a service business model. Also the business network and synergies, we think is very, very good, and R&D opportunities. And regarding that, well, with Professor Charles, we have been talking about a potential project for the IAC. That's for development of final water delivery telemetry device that can comply with the California Water Act. And also we want to connect with irrigation districts to pilot our kind of telemetry solution, connect with potential representatives in California and the rest of the United States, and also connect with government agencies that can be interested in piloting and promoting and validating our technologies. So that's Capta Hydro and our experience. Thanks.
Nice job. Right at about 5 minutes. Anybody have anything for Gaston? Going once, going twice, no sale. All right, let's go next to, if I have it right, Infinite Pipe, Dr. Moasani.
Yes, good morning, everyone. So I'll give you a quick rundown on our Infinite Pipe technology. This is just for the problem with current pipeline construction practices that we make these pipes in 6 to 40 foot long segments. Transportation of these pipes is really costly, and then they're joined in the field. Safety of pipeline, both during transportation and installation, is a major concern, and that's why it's considered one of the most dangerous construction practices. And then you have the materials that corrode, so the lifespan of these pipes is pretty short, and you either have to, in some cases, you have to provide cathodic protection for these steel pipes or coatings to keep them from corroding. So, and then, these joints always leak, which is a major concern. So what we, this is how we decided to come up with this product. And the history of this really goes back to about some 30 plus years ago, where I came up with this idea of using carbon fiber materials to repair and strengthen this existing infrastructure like buildings and bridges. And I literally wrote the first paper on this subject. So then after about 10 years of doing that, we got into repairing large diameter pipes, like for the nuclear power industry and large irrigation districts and so on. So these are the pipes that our crew would go inside and strengthen them. And then, a few years later, we came up with this concept of building a pipe that is shown here. It was a new way of building instead of very...
I'm not seeing anything. Were you planning to share your screen? Grace, does
No, I thought I'm showing. Is it not?
I'm not
Oh,
seeing
no,
it.
you have permission, but I don't see anything.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was on my, let me see. Share screen.
There we go. There we go.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So, yeah, so that's what we came up with, this, new pipe that we could make very efficiently. And after that, the next stage was that we took this pipe technology and converted it into an infinite pipe, which is made on site. And the whole design of this pipe is kind of new, and we received this ASCE Innovation Award a few years ago as the world's first green and sustainable pipe. So, very quickly, the advantages of this pipe is that you can make it to any length. There are no joints that would cause leaking. You can design it for any pressure. Transportation cost is virtually limited because you ship the raw materials. The materials don't corrode, no cathodic protection. So it's really, it has a lot of advantages. And it also weighs about 10% of conventional pipes. So it's, it's a green and sustainable technology, and it costs lower than typical pipes that you see in the market. So in terms of what we've done with this, there are a couple of areas that we think initially could be very good entry points for this technology. One of them is what is called, and these happen to be some that we have already received patents last year. One of them is called the horizontal directional drilling, where you build the pipe and pull it under a lake or under a freeway. These are being used a lot more worldwide as we have, the cities grow. You cannot cut a trench to lay a pipe. So this way you can just cut it, like there was a big project in Southern California on the 405 freeway, for example. You can imagine how difficult it would be to cut across 405, but you do it this way. And another application where we have received a patent is for in the mining industry, where they have these wells that many of them on a given site. And we would put these pipes that go down, a couple of 1,000 feet. And the current problem is that the joints at these pipes leak, and that contaminates the groundwater. So these are a couple of ones that we are looking at initially getting into the market. Plus, so we have some additional ideas that we have filed for patents. So really, my slides, I just maybe stop it at here in the interest of time, but we've learned quite a bit from participating in this program, not only really for our infinite pipe project or product. As you've seen me, always, Jeff makes sure that I mention it. We have a bunch of other products. So our company, I think a lot of the training that we received through these Valley Ventures really has been a great help for us to incorporate these into our other ongoing businesses. And in fact, if you look at the attendees of our webinars, I think we beat everyone by the number of attendees that we had. Some days I had 3 of my associates and myself attending. So we've really learned a lot, and it was great. I mean, some of these techniques, for example, like project financing, is something that I think really lends itself to what we are doing here, and it could be it could be useful for us to move forward.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Asani. And part of your efforts, your team, Dr. Farhat Sever, has worked with Dr. Charles Hillier here to try to potentially apply for CSU ARI.
Yes.
And there was some back and forth with the Fresno Irrigation District and then one of our professors, Sean Ashkin. And I thought it was real interesting this week to where you had the back and forth trying to figure out what canal you guys might do your pilot on. And they sent a picture of a canal that was dirt. And Dr. Sever had to say, yeah, we need to work with lined canals. So there's always a discovery.
Well, I actually have a different product for lining that thing too, but I didn't want to contaminate the conversation with them. But yeah, there are, there's definitely opportunities for to collaborate on some of these projects.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Doctor. Anybody else have anything for Infinite Pipe and Mo here?
Yeah, I have a question. Actually, I've wanted to ask this a long time ago. Which is the material you manufacture this Infinite Pipe of? Basically, it's plastic, it's a metal.
The materials are primarily either glass saturated with resin or carbon fiber saturated with resin, depending on the diameter and the pressure rating of the pipe. So it could become like a fiberglass pipe, if you will, or a carbon FRP pipe. Those are.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else going once? Going?
Yeah, just one question, Dr. Sani. Is your product Could it be used in the electricity area with electricity?
It could be, like one of the applications of this, for example, is in the pumped hydro energy that we could actually, in places in remote sites, this would allow us to build the pipe, let's say on top of a hill near the upper level reservoir, and just as the pipe is being made, pull it down, like down the hill. So the method of manufacturing of this pipe, I think it opens up a lot of, applications where you may not have the roadway infrastructure to lay a conventional pipeline that requires big trucks going, delivering the finished pipe.
I was thinking of it as conduit because I see a lot of trucks in our neighborhoods, for example, burying lines all the time. And
yes, conduit exactly for that as well. Yes.
Yeah, use large rolls of pipe rather than just manufacture it on the site. Seems like
exactly. Yeah, that's another use. Yes.
All right. So everyone
yes, I just wanted to say I think that the product is really amazing, and we're looking at a project in Mexico with a pumped hydro, and I think, anyway, a lot of exciting uses for your product. Wow, congratulations.
Well, we look forward to teaming up with the cohorts. Yeah.
Yes. All right, great.
Very good. All right, in the interest of time, Stephen, you're last, and we will probably get to you right at about 10:55. So I know you're in Colorado time. Hopefully you can stay on for a little bit. We'll probably go slightly over 11. If anybody needs to leave, you're free. You can leave if you need to, but hopefully we'll have the Venture stay on to present. We are recording this. It could be made available later. But Felipe, Intitech, will you be presenting for Intitech?
Michael,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, mute Stephen. All right, we're seeing your screen.
Okay, let's start. Well, good afternoon. Well, good morning for you, everybody. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so I will be doing a brief presentation about Intitech according to the guideline that Jeff gave us. So yes, we manufacture robots to clean solar plants. Solar energy is the main alternative to generate renewable energy nowadays, cost effective and easy to install. The problem is that this kind of technology gets dirty. Solar panels are exposed to a decrease in the efficiency. Nowadays, the cleaning methods are manual or with trucks and brushes. But anyway, besides doing a regular cleaning task, you have an efficiency loss because the dust starts accumulating immediately after you do the cleaning task. So we are trying to solve this issue. What do? We install a fleet of autonomous robots over the client's plant. These robots are waterless. They don't emit any contaminating emission, and they are autonomous. The idea is to control them through internet. They are left installed in the client's plant, and you can conveniently trigger the cleaning cycle whenever it's needed. At the end, it's all about extra income by keeping solar plants clean. Besides replacing traditional cleaning methods, we grant more money to the plant owner. So our business model is basically what is differentiating us from the competition. And today, there's a lot of people trying to do the same, but we here in Intitech deliver a hardware as a service, robot as a service, we like to call it, in which the client doesn't have to pay any upfront capex for having the devices installed on the solar plant. We absorb all the initial costs of manufacturing, installing, and doing the setup of the devices in the plant in exchange of a long-term contract, similar to a O&M contract that the solar plants have regularly. So it's a profitable business for plant owners on having their plants clean and the robots installed with in exchange of a monthly rate that we charge a reasonable, very competitive monthly rate for having the robots installed on the solar plants. So in the rooftop segment, we are having a lot of traction here in Chile, as I've been telling you through the program. Today, we have 22 plants here in the central and northern zone of Chile, around 8 megawatt peaks of installed capacity served. And we are currently having a lot of inquiries in utility scale. Actually, we have two term sheets signed in which the clients already agreed on a price to serve 170 megawatt peaks in Mexico and the northern part of Chile. So what we are looking for, the challenges that we are facing currently, how to enter properly to the utility scale. These very large solar plants that are placed in desertic zones or far from urban areas where water is scarce, where cleaning with people is complicated. So this market is more or less 600 gigawatts worldwide. And we are aiming to start, of course, here in Chile. And we're looking to make international pilots in order to validate the idea of having a robot installed on your plant. And because of...
Please.
I'm sorry?
Can you finish in less than 1 minute, please?
Yes.
Thank
So
you.
the roadmap and milestones, basically a utility scale this year, and it's very important to have operations in the US. Measuring the impact, we need to understand which is our ideal customer, how does the PV market is structured in California, which is already ongoing. This is one of the main takeaways that we're getting from this program. Learning about the customers, de-risking our proposal was one of the main ideas that we take. And because of participating here, we have a variation on our service. We are shifting to semi-autonomous, which means installing less amount of robots. So other takeaways, we are in contact with Voltus. We would like to be in contact with private owners. Voltus is an energy company that Craig Sharton presented us. We are looking for an early adopter in California. As I've always said, a pilot is very important, and we have learned to offer pilots that are valuable for us. Of course, keep in touch to be presented in front of investors. Commercial activities, market trends, and grants. We know that the Wet Center is very well connected, so to keep in touch with you, of course, it's a window that opens us a lot of opportunities in California. So thanks a lot, Valley Ventures and Wet Center, and this is basically what we've done.
Thank you, Felipe, with Intitech there. Real quick, anyone? It's got to be quick. We only have 8 minutes left.
Have you guys heard of Raptor Maps?
I'm sorry?
Have you guys heard of Raptor Maps?
No. Raptor?
It's a startup that raised a few rounds. Like, they've been really successful, and basically what they did successfully was enter the solar space for these big plants. So I don't know if they would be willing, but worst case scenario, they could tell you how they did that, how they infiltrated and sold to all these same exact customers that you guys want. But they do mapping, like satellite mapping of the solar panels, so they can check performance and stuff like that. They don't actually do cleaning. So best case scenario, they could be strategic partners where you guys kind of trade services for your same customers.
Yeah, nice.
Thanks a lot.
I know them through Greentown Labs, which is an accelerator.
Maybe we can keep chatting ourselves.
Yeah, I sent the link in the chat.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, Troy, are you going to be presenting for Off Grid Box next?
Yeah, I think Emiliano's connection's not good enough.
We'll do both.
Okay,
We can do. Yeah. Let me see if I can share the screen. And while I'm trying to do that, I would love to thank Jeff when you first reached us, offering this great opportunity to attend this program. Has been really great because having spent so much years in Boston where nobody knows what a CO2 and a water issue and this and all the language we're talking here with these ventures and you guys and the people we met through you has been really a relief. We couldn't really enjoy sharing ideas and everything with someone that is super smart, super high tech, super compelling and quick and whatever, but it's really another industry. So I'm super happy we have been able to share this. And unfortunately, it's been a super hectic time for us. So during the program, we got these 6 clinics with USAID. We launched another concept, this off-grid box mini, that is filling the gap between individual devices and this big community hub. We did 6 more boxes with Google that reached back again for the Congo and DRC. We got all these Somali super tough situation. I don't know if you ever saw the Black Oak Down movie. Black Oak Down is a movie about Somali Mogadishu and the challenges that you got there. So we got a lot of things to do, but we thought finding a partner to selling this unit in California would have been not easy, but something feasible in this month and a half. But we really had very hectic time recently. So, but it's fun that a week ago with Troy, we said, okay, we should reach each of these ventures, of these great startups, because we got so many things to tell them, and prospects and investors and opportunities. I mean, I'm thinking about cleaning up these solar panels in Egypt with our partners we got over there, or using the biochar as we could do in Italy, actually, or leveraging the CO2 and water certifications with Google and the Fair Supply Chain Department we're interacting with. So I was trying to reach you guys one by one when Jeff yesterday sent the recap email and said, oh, well, there's no speaker, no panelists in this last seminar. So maybe it's a networking, amazing event between us. And I wrote an email to him and he said, yes. So I said, okay, tonight I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about what we're doing, but I will reach out one by one to share what we got and maybe what we could get from interacting on the long term. So basically, yeah, we said 1,000. I don't know if you can see my screen now. Okay. Yeah, we got this little kit here. It's a 6 feet by 6 feet by 6 feet cubic container with these 12 solar panels on the top and the water purification inside. So basically, that's the old layout, but it's the smallest container you can think about. Now, if you double the solar panels, you can get from 3 kilowatt up to 8 kilowatt. If you increase the number of batteries, you can store up to 50 kilowatt hour with these lithium graphene batteries that come with 10 years of warranty. You can purify up to 20,000 liters a day, but you can pump up from a shallow well, borehole, like what you were doing in Tanzania, up to 140 cubic meter a day of water from the underground, if the well is strong enough. So yeah, basically we got this tech and a software for the procedures that I'm going to show you, and a great team on the ground based in Kigali in Rwanda, and managing those 38 boxes all over the place, and most of them in East Africa. Damn, this thing is driving me crazy. Okay.
Yeah, and Dr. Cecchini, if you could finish up in about 1 minute so we can turn it over.
Yeah. So basically, it's all about key infrastructure, recharge stations, and disaster relief. And we are in the intersection of electricity, water, and sanitation, with an easier transportation all over the place, and setting up in Africa these community hubs where people come here and get water, recharge power banks, charge phones, and pay a small fee. But the vision is about this double roof guy here. So pumping up water, reforestation, agroforestry, so an intercropping between new trees and crops while serving a community, providing Wi-Fi access. We got a Starlink, a new interaction, trying to provide satellite in this location. So places that look more like this instead of this need this thing. And we need you to understand some other features like the reverse osmosis we got in this unit, and some other issues about transportability. So I would really love to interact more with you guys. So we'll reach out soon, me and Troy. and we'll see how we can help each other better. And to you, Jeff, and all the team at the Water Energy Technology Center has been really great, but it's not over here. We'll keep interacting and asking you support as you did so far. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Cecchini and Troy. Thank you. Off-Grid Box could have a place in California and lots of applications as you have around the world. Let's move, essence of time, it's 10:59. Stephen Conger with P4P Energy. Are you okay in presenting here for about 5 minutes? You ready to go, sir?
Yeah. I have to wait until the other sharing is done. Here we go.
All right, I see your screen
So,
there.
Okay, all right. So this is a canal we did in Punjab, India, and you. So okay, sorry. So we all know the world is changing quickly, and there's a dramatic transition to renewable clean energy that's needed to address climate disruption. This is our ground mount system, which goes up faster and easier than other systems. We design, engineer, and manufacture and market solar racking systems based on the inherent efficiencies of cable tension structures, of which the Golden Gate Bridge is a prime example. It expanded what bridges could do. We use 25 to 60% less steel than conventional structures, and they're easier to build. Here's an example of the bottom of that canal that you're looking at, that you looked at before, and it uses 110 metric tons of steel per megawatt. Similar systems use 265. So you can see the advantages of that in terms of embodied energy, embodied carbon, and the cost of the steel. Oops. We can do multiple benefit systems, which can actually change the economics of the overall system and make solar and the use below it more efficient. On the left top there, you can see a rendering we did of covering a California canal. And there's a bottom cable there. If we put a membrane on that, we can reduce the evaporation on that canal to 0. Okay, so we have, sorry, my advancing thing is messing up here, sorry. We have 50 patents worldwide, and we are doing constant innovation and have developed some products just recently related to agriculture, which we're really excited about. This is the basis of our technology. Essentially, we have different cable structures. We have the solar panels put on rigid frames so they don't see any torsional or additional stress from our systems than a rigid system. And then we pre-panelize those rigid frames and then just drop them on the panels, which is why it's fast to build. Sorry about my advancing. We have the possibility of distributing our products globally through Ganges International. That's done over 4 gigawatts of solar racking systems so far, and their costing is really good. And so that's our global supply chain for the moment. And then we want to scale up as quickly as possible, and within the next 3 years, we want to start these 7 regional sales and marketing and project management centers so that we can scale globally quickly. Here's a couple of other products that we've done. This project was 1.1 miles long. We built it in 10 weeks. And this project covers a 100-meter, which is 365-foot wide canal. So we can go to large spans, and it uses the same steel per watt that even smaller systems use. So that's essentially what we do. We've gotten a tremendous amount of benefit from Valley Ventures, including a lot of great connections. I'm going to be working with John Bonanno as a coach, Mike Jackson, we're looking at hiring for helping us design marketing strategy. We want to work with the Wet Center and do demonstration projects in San Jose, if possible, there. And I'm looking forward to working with Mo on some things. So anyway, there's just, every speaker has been excellent, and I've learned a tremendous amount. So thank you guys very much.
Our pleasure, Stephen. Thank you. We're 4.5 minutes for your presentation. Appreciate that. And for you going last in this alphabetical string of things, yeah. You're a little bit over our 11 o'clock Pacific time. I thank you for that. Everyone, I thank you for being part of Valley Ventures 5. We'll be in contact. Myself, I'll follow up with emails with the survey to get your feedback and updates on your refunds and then to see if I can help you going forward. Grace will be reaching out to you guys with things, including some reporting functions for our funders, including California Energy Commission and Economic Development Administration. Benjamin Francis, who's on, he can help with the Wet Center Force program and connect you with some of the folks like Dale Bierce of Sandler Sales, Jeff Dillon, and others. And so look forward to seeing how we can help you out. And as I said at the beginning, we want to see if your ventures thrive over the next 12 months, and we're funded to help create these success stories. So we look forward to moving forward on that with you all. And I'll just leave it open. I'll sit on here for a little bit in case anybody has anything. Grace, are you able to leave the Zoom open for a few minutes, or do you have to run off?
Nope, I'll hang out here with you.
All right, so if anybody has anything to say, and let's see, yeah, anybody want to chime in with anything, please feel free.
Hey, Jeff, Alejandro here. Thoroughly enjoyed the last several weeks, and very useful. And I think I think it's just the start of the conversation. I think and continuing it, it's really the value of it. So thank you again. And also I enjoyed working with the cohorts here, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be some collaboration that's going to come out of this. Thank you.
So thank you. Catherine, 1903 PR, I see you there. Did you have any thoughts on these presentations? We can always improve on our presentations, but do you have any thoughts, anything pop out at you?
No, they looked really good. For the most part, I think whenever you know, coming in, I feel like people have been preparing for this for a long time, so I don't want to like contradict anything that's happened in a previous meeting, but I think having a clear outline up front of like, this is what you want to get out of it, whether that's funding or additional partners or whatever it is, like saying that right up front and being very direct about that, especially with 5 minutes. It's tough to get everything in, but I think that's just helpful to keep in mind whenever you're giving a condensed pitch.
Yeah, well said, Catherine. And you have contact information on the calendar invite, all the email addresses for these 7 ventures you saw. So by all means, you, your team can reach out to them and see if there's anything in the future for you guys.
Yeah, thanks. I'm looking forward to helping some of these folks hopefully get some press and get to whatever their next phase is, if that's you know, funding or wherever they hope to scale to.
Yeah. All right. Well, open forum for a few minutes. Anybody?
I'm not a marketing person, but I think it would be a good idea. We did this at Techstars 3 years ago. Just like all the companies, I feel like we should all follow each other on social media and just make sure we're connected. So if people do post things, we can kind of keep in touch if we do forget to email or whatever might happen. It's a good reminder to see each other again.
Absolutely. I try to follow all ventures. LinkedIn and Twitter I find is really good tools. Wet Center Alexis Ford has been working on our websites and Facebook and Instagram, but yeah, a lot of opportunities. And
if you have a social media, if your venture has social media we don't follow, let us know and we will definitely follow you right away.
Absolutely. I know I've kind of been looking at some of your profiles, and you guys did share your social media links with me near the very beginning. So it feels like it was only a few short weeks ago, which is wild. But if you guys do add profiles as we go along, I know a few of you shared some Instagrams and Twitters. If you add more, I mean, we're happy to follow.
I just want to also really say that this was great. Thanks to Jeff and Grace and the engineering students, the staff that helped. You know, this was great. We appreciate everybody's effort, and it was, you know, I know it's tough to not only get the program together, but also being the timekeeper and going keep everybody online. So we appreciate that. It was a great learning experience for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we also got a lot out of it too. This is Justin APL, and I think the thing that is maybe the most helpful for me is not just giving information like these are a set of facts or this is how a process works, but changing a line of thinking. You know, it's opens up kind of different vistas or different ways of approaching problems. So I don't have to necessarily know every fact. I have a different way of thinking about a new problem, and that'll help me find what the new facts are. So the extent that many of the presentations gave me that, and this whole course has given me that, that's been very useful. And more so than just any particular piece of information. Although there were still several pieces of information, explicit pieces of information, they're very useful. So
Yeah,
thanks for that.
Our pleasure. And the thinking, like even Naveen Sika of Terra Viva yesterday saying for his ag tech venture, they were very focused at the beginning, but now they're going to the CPGs because that's where the pull demand is for a lot of these technologies. I thought that was interesting. Yeah. A little different way of looking at things.
A perfect example. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of, you know, lateral thinking, you might call it, or whatever, but it's encouraging not necessarily a specific piece of information or a certain way of doing things, but an approach to how to find information or how to find new ways to do things. And if you have a new approach to things, you'll be able to solve all kinds of problems. But if you just have a certain set of information, you can only solve that particular problem or those kinds of problems. So that was definitely the useful part. Yeah, that example with Naveen is a perfect example of how, you know, he kind of short-circuited a problem, and that style of thinking I think is very useful in the future. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, Justin. Thank you. And if you guys do reach out to me, I do my online meetings, BTV plans, I call them, and we have Tom Burns here. I'm looking forward to bringing Tom Burns into these BTV plan sessions to see if you can help. You've heard him in the last few sessions talk about his background, project finance, MBA, you know, you can put teams together to help. Luke for P4P Energy asked about a cost analysis, and Tom, that's something he's been doing in years past. So we're all trying to find ways to help you guys.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And also specific to Catherine, I think the PR focus on the technology, I think that's extremely valuable. In fact, related to kind of like a CEC grants, and there were some topics about that. There's a component there called technology transfer activities. And they actually will insist on a certain percentage of the budget to be spent on what they call technology transfer activities. And what qualifies there is how do you get the word out on the technology? How do you actually transfer that to the public or to partners or to institutions that make it useful? So anyway, just sharing, since you're on the call, that I think there is a direct need for that is actually being called out on CEC grant proposals under the component called technology transfer. And yeah, so anyway, so working on one, you know, I sent you a LinkedIn invite, so maybe there's something there. So I really appreciate you being in the call also. So anyway, just sharing that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I also real quick just want to say, like, you know, want to be supportive to everyone here. If you have any like one-off questions, like I'm very open to like just chatting. If you want to bootstrap your own type of PR program, or, you know, I understand like a lot of these are kind of early stage and you're just getting into it, and I don't want you to feel like if you're not ready to go full bore PR agency that like I don't have time for you. Like I absolutely feel very passionate about supporting all of these ventures. And so, you know, find me on LinkedIn, shoot me an email through website, whatever you want to do. But I'll spitball, I'll tell you how to do it yourself, whatever you guys need.
Thank you. And hey, on CEC grants, we were just prompted through our Blue Tech Valley Innovation Cluster, funded by the CEC. They asked why they didn't get enough bridge applications. They're doing all these grants.
Oh, I love hearing that. I'm so glad to hear that they didn't get a lot of bridge applications. That's the best news I've gotten out of all Valley Ventures. Thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome. All Power Labs.
Thank you.
Application in a couple weeks ago, right?
Yep.
Big time. Yeah.
Big time.
We definitely did.
Here they are, $160 million a year they give out in grants. Cal Seed for TRL 2 through 4, Cal Testbed 5 through 7, Bridge from 7 through 9, and Ramp 9 and above. It's a nice structured program, but they aren't perfect. But it's a whole bunch of money, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars going out for clean technologies in California. You have to have an address in California, which could be done with a few thousand bucks, many ventures to it. But they're not getting enough. Their marketing, they got to work on their marketing and how they design.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to agree to disagree, but yeah.
And for all the folks who are still interested in bridge, if what they're saying is true, they have 4 rounds of bridge. The next deadline will be in February. So So please consider that and apply for it. And I you know, and you asked, Justin and I just worked on it, and we kind of know how to do it. So reach out to us, and we can give you kind of tips and pointers on it. But it's not over. They will just a little bit about the bridge. There is an encumbrance deadline on the funding. They need to send the money out. So they're looking for projects. The next deadline will be in February. So apply for it. We're going to apply for a second one.
and Eric Stokes of the CEC sent us the link for the FPIP, Food Production Investment. Yeah. They go through millions of dollars. They're doing that. They have a number of programs.
Yep.
And that's another one. That's also another one where if they don't spend all the funds, they have a second round to try to get the money out the door. The CEC are very motivated with several of these grant funding opportunities to make sure they spend their whole budget and to make sure that they have successful stories. And a lot of them, as Jeff mentioned, they do have this kind of structured narrative where they want to keep on funding successes and see companies through to being successful, especially now we're kind of at the bridge and ramp stage. So we've seen kind of some of the R&D up through the point where like we're becoming a viable company and, leaving the wings of being grant funded. But yeah, they are really motivated to put the money out there to things that will actually work, and they're motivated to work with you. We've had a lot of success with the CEC. So anyone who is fortunate enough to get a CEC grant, like they've been great to us, and they want us to be successful.
Yeah, I love seeing Emiliano's family there in Italy, 9 hours ahead. They're up pretty late.
Oh, it's his 12-year-old son's birthday. That was the party, I guess.
All right, folks. Well, I hope every one of you has a good day. Tomorrow's Friday the 13th. I specifically stopped this VV5 roadshow before that date out of superstitions.
Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, and looking forward to meeting everybody in person.
Great.
Soon, hopefully, soon.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot. You're all doing really great work. I love it. Thanks for the opportunity, Jeff. I appreciate your invitation.
Thank you.